Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is going to be an ultimate guide to Milo Toten that I'm hoping can act as a quick reference sheet sort of thing, so that if you forget where a certain perk is, or you want to quickly reference a certain Easter egg, it's contained in here, and you can just generally be a more prepared zombies player to attack the map, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an expert. So, first up, the best route to take when you actually spawn into the map, in my opinion, is this one here. And the reason for that is that on the way to the power switch, we're going to run past one of the spawn points for the Tempests, and so you can take the Tempest down and grab the fuse that you're going to need for the power switch before you even get there, and then you can just keep going through, take the left-hand route here to get into the power room itself, and then you just need your second fuse, and that's going to be from another Tempest that's really nearby. So that's my preferred route for power and pap. Obviously, once you've got the fuses, put them back in the generator next to the power switch, turn the power switch on, and then go up to the Pack-a-Punch machine, hold square on it, kill the zombies that spawn in around you, and Pack-a-Punch will then be active. Next up, the perks. These things can be a bit tricky to find, so we're going to run through all of the locations now, including the Wonder Fizz. First up, let's start with Tombstone. This is going to be in the kind of kitchen, which is sort of underneath the spawn area, as you can see in the gameplay just here. You then, across from the spawn area, got the destroyed penthouse, which is above the grocery store, and that's where you'll be able to find the quick revive machine. Then across from the penthouse, we've got the Korber building, and that's got two perks on its roof. One of them is directly on the roof, and that's Speed Cola, and then another is around the corner inside the hotel. You'll be able to find Stamina Up in there. Next, we're going to head down to ground level, and you can find Jug in the bar, which is here in East Berlin, and also fairly nearby, you can run over to where this cafe sign is, and above the cafe on the zipline, that is where Wonder Fizz is hiding. I know some of you guys haven't been able to find it. That's where it is, so definitely make sure to make the most of that. Next up, we're going to head underground, and down there we'll find a handful of perks. We've got Elemental Pop in the power room where we were before. We've also got Deadshot, which is inside the service passage, which we'll be going back to later in this guide for the free Cerberus Easter egg. And finally, the new perk in this map, Mule Kick, is in the ghost station on the platform just here. Those are all the perks, but what about all the other spawn points, like the Klaus stations, for instance? Well, I prefer to use three main Klaus stations in my game. The first of which is where Klaus actually starts off the game spawned in, tied to a chair or chained to a chair. The spawn box for him is right next to him there, and I find that one really useful. I also really like the one that's on the tank just here. This one is in a really convenient location to activate. And the third super useful location is up on the Korber rooftop, and the reason this one's so useful is we can use it for the Klaus upgrade later, and it's right next to the upgrade station, so it's perfectly positioned. Next up, armor stations, or arsenals, as they're called in the game. I'm a gooner, but I don't know why they're called that. Everyone calls them armor stations. So first up, we've got the one in the death strip, which is really handy because no matter whether you're on the east side or west side of the map, the death strip's in the middle, so that's an easy armor station to get to. There's also one underground when you're going into the lab, so if you're doing the Easter egg, this one's a really handy one to run past and quickly refresh your armor on. And then the two other main ones I use, one is next to the jug machine, or rather it's like a little bit further on from it in the like electrical repair room, and the last one is just next to Stamina Up. Remember we said it was in the Korber roof hotel area? So those are our armor stations. What about crafting stations? These, I'm going to be honest, I hardly use in this map, but there's one that is in the back of the grocery store. It's just next to a rappel or a zipline, whatever you want to call it. And there's another one to the left of the trials machine, which probably marks a good point to actually segue to where the trials machine is. That one's going to be in West Berlin, basically at the far west end. And if you do trials in the game, just like on other maps, you can get yourself free perks, you can get free wonder weapons, you can get all sorts of free stuff, and of course you can get intel from it as well if you care about intel. Now, with all these locations of perks and tables and armor stations in your head, you might be getting a bit confused about the actual map layout. I've tried to simplify it with this handy graphic. Yeah, I'm an absolute artist at heart. That's the above ground stuff, at least, and then you've also got your underground area, which is kind of this shape, and I guess the main thing to remember with the underground is that the lab and also the power room and all of that stuff, like where Klaus is, that's all on one side of the train tracks, and the other side of the train tracks is just boring. There's not a lot of stuff over there. And the boring side, this is all you need to remember, the boring side is the east side, and that's because we hate communism. And of course, I am being sarcastic here, but it might help you remember that the underground area that's boring corresponds to East Berlin, the East Berlin side of the map. You can could also remember it by thinking about the fact that Klaus is like a Requiem robot, and Requiem are American, and so what side of Berlin are they going to be on? They're going to be on the west side of Berlin, right? I think the communism thing's better, though. Anyway, there are a few key zip lines around these different areas of the map that I think are worth calling out because some of them actually blend in or just aren't the most obvious things in the world, and they are really handy. So this is one example. When you're going towards that lab area that you go into and out of multiple times in the Easter egg, there is a zip line right next to that entrance, and people just forget it's there because it kind of blends in with the wall behind it, but it's a really good zip line to use to get out of that lower area. Another good one is in the back of the grocery store. I find myself using this zip line a lot because I'll be in kind of the middle of the map or something. I'll decide that I want to get up onto one of the buildings, and I'll basically pretty frequently jump into the building through the side of the window here and then run through and just take the zip line all the way up. The zip between Korba and the destroyed penthouse is one I also use super frequently to get across the two sides. And bear in mind, when you've zipped across, you can then also zip across again to the other building, so you're kind of going in a triangle almost at that point. And that again just means that you've got really easy traversal between those three. Finally, this zip line inside the safe house where Klaus is really good. It's best if you're exfilling because the other side will be really crowded and just generally a bit hard to get out of. So this is a really good zip line to take for that purpose specifically. And also if you're doing a bunch of stuff with Klaus, like it can just be a handy one to have for quick, easy access. Okay, I'm bored of talking about locations. Let's talk about guns, specifically the turret trap, which is in the death strip. And this thing is surprisingly powerful. Like, it's not every day that Treyarch gives us a turret like this that actually feels like it's doing serious damage, but this thing does really well in my experience. And I must remember here to mention the fact that if you stand in the spotlight of the turret, it's just going to shoot you. So be very careful when you're in that area, but activating the turret is a really good way to take down a massive group of zombies in a pinch if you need to. Another thing related to these turrets is the fact that on top of one of them, there's actually an intel that's just stuck up there. And what you need to do to get it down is go to the WonderWeapon machine, like go to that little kind of perch area and shoot it down, and then you can go back to the death strip and you'll be able to pick it up from the floor. If that doesn't work for you, go to one of the building roofs and grenade it down. That's what I originally did, and yeah, you'll get some intel. Next, let's talk about the new grenade, which you can craft from the crafting station, but for the love of God, save your hard-earned money. Your shekels should be spent on something better. Seriously. The Casimir is cool. It's basically a Gersh device, but it's in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War instead of Call of Duty Black Ops 1. However, you can only hold one of them, it's one use, it's too damn expensive to craft, and you can get it just as a drop from killing zombies, so I'd sort of hold your horses and wait for that to happen rather than crafting a bunch, because you'll just end up with no salvage. It's just not worth it in my opinion. Maybe it becomes slightly more worth it if you've got your mule kick all the way to tier 5 and you've got all those upgrades that means that you keep your equipment when you throw it and stuff like that, but I'm gonna be real with you guys, I just don't think that this is worth using right now, so that's my 2 cents. Next, let's quickly run you through the free CRBR-S Easter egg. I'm going to basically paste in my guide here with all the spawn locations you could possibly need. I know some people have been having trouble with not being able to find certain numbers. They're all in here, so enjoy. Go to the Pack-a-Punch machine and just get the brain rot alternate ammo type on a weapon, and then go to this hotel room here. When you're in the room, turn a zombie using brain rot, and once it's turned, it should swipe down the barrier here and allow you to get into the room. And you'll then be able to grab the hands of Klaus from the neck of this very much alive dude. Next, we need a battery, and you get it from killing a panzer. So wait for round 10 when your first panzer will spawn, and then take it down and grab the battery it drops. Next, we can go over to Klaus where he's chained up and give him his parts back, and that will free him, and you'll then be able to command him around by using your tactical button. So it like replaces stun grenades, stuff like that. The last thing we want to do now that he's moving around is command him to stand in front of this locker here, and he should bust it open when he gets there, and you'll be able to pick up a black light from inside. This is going to be useful for what we're doing next, which is the free CRBR-S Easter egg. So turn on your newly acquired black light by pressing up on your D-pad, or I think 5 on your keyboard, and then come to this location here. You're going to check the following 3 spawns for a pair of numbers. So look in this location, and look in this location, and finally look in this location. And in one of those 3 spots, you should see a pair of numbers. Make a note of those numbers, and then we're going to move to another location and do the same thing. So come to this area of the map, and inside this little sewer area, we're going to do the same. Look for a pair of numbers, check this spawn just here, then check this spawn just here, and finally check this spawn just here. We've now got to do that one more time. Come to this location and look in this spawn location for a pair of numbers. If it's not there, check this spawn location for a pair of numbers. And finally, check this spawn location for a pair of numbers. Now that we have our 3 pairs of numbers, go back to the room where we got Klaus's hands, and there's a safe on the right-hand side, which we can enter the code into that we just read off the walls. We enter the code left to right in the order of locations I just showed you. And if you're in solo, by the way, the zombies aren't going to path to you here. They're going to give you a little bit of space to enter the numbers, so you don't need to worry about that too much. And when you've entered the 3 numbers correctly, there'll be a prompt on screen for the button you need to press to actually open the safe and confirm your entry. And inside, you will find your free Cerberus WonderWeapon. Now that we have the Cerberus, what do we do to get the upgrades? Well, the upgrades are actually just dropped by zombies when you kill them. So you can get a variety of different variants. There are 3 main upgrade variants. And I'm going to quickly give you a kind of best to worst right now so that you guys know which ones to look out for and which ones to avoid. Starting with which ones to avoid. Dear Lord, do not waste your time on that wide, I don't even know what to call it. The 5-shot thing that's a spread in a horizontal line. It's terrible. It's so bad. I personally don't think that there is any situation in this map where I would prefer to have this over, I don't know, a potato to throw at the zombies. It's just awful. There's no point. If I see it on the ground, I kind of don't even touch it. It just sucks. I don't want it. I just don't want it. I stick with the other 2 variants. They're much better. In my opinion, the best variant probably is the beam one, although it's a real split decision because the one that fires all those rockets is really good at taking down big groups. And I also think that the fact that it can also lock on a target if you hold down your aim down sight button, that's a really cool feature that you don't get with the other variant that's just a big old beam. So I mean, they're both up there. I love both of them, to be honest, but I think that no matter what, if you pick up the other one, which I think is called the diffuser, you've got issues. Just don't do it. Now, an important thing to realize is that the pistol variant, that's the base variant without any extra mod kits, without anything else on it on top, is still amazing. It's actually just as good, I'd say, as both that rocket variant and the beam variant. The thing is, though, I would recommend that you use your pistol variant a bit, and then if you see the beam one or the rocket one on the floor, you pick it up almost no matter what, even if you prefer the pistol, because you're going to get extra ammo from using one of the variants, and you're going to kill a bunch of zombies with ammo that you're essentially getting for free, and that's going to drop ammo, the zombies are going to drop ammo that you can then pick up and put back into your gun, and when you switch back to the pistol variant, you also have more ammo then. So it's like a virtuous cycle, I suppose, and it just means that you're much less likely to run out of ammo in your base weapon there. And also, you can pack-a-punch this gun. So go over to the pack-a-punch machine and just triple pack it like you would any other weapon. Also a tip, a lot of the time, you're actually fine just using the beam variant as a single shot instead of just holding it down. You'll conserve ammo a bit better that way. But don't worry, just to be very clear, when your variants run out of ammo, they'll just revert back to the pistol version. It's not like you lose the wonder weapon, so no need to worry about that. All right, let's move on to another guide now. We're going to be doing a guide for building Klaus, and then we're going to be doing a guide for upgrading Klaus. So enjoy the following. As soon as Pack-a-Punch is activated, you need to save up for Brain Rot and put it on one of your weapons. You don't need to pack the weapon, you just need to put Brain Rot on it. With Brain Rot on your weapon, come to this room, Hotel Room 305, and turn a zombie. The zombie will then break down this door in front of you, and you'll be able to retrieve Klaus's hands from the neck of this very much alive dude just here. The next Klaus part we need is a battery, which we get from killing a Panzer, and they'll start spawning in around round 10. So kill a Panzer, grab the battery, and you can then come to Klaus's station down here where he's trapped and put his parts in and free him. Once he's free from his restraints, use your tactical button on your controller to command him to stand in front of this locker here. When you do that, he'll break the locker open and there'll be a black light inside which you can pick up. The next thing we need is a microwave dish, which we can find by digging in the dig spots in the death strip, which is the center area of the map where the guard towers are. Dig around on both sides until you find the dish and pick it up. We then need to run over to this upgrade station and place the satellite dish inside it. Next, spawn in Klaus and get him to get kills in front of this station. He needs to kill quite a lot of zombies in there, like 20 plus, maybe 30 plus, so make sure he's doing that and shooting zombies for you, and once he's got enough kills, the little light on top of the upgrade station will turn green. Then, command Klaus in front of the station and he'll get inside it now, and once he steps inside, a 1-minute lockdown will begin. This can be a little hectic, so it's quite a good idea to have the Cerberus, because it's just so damn powerful, or like an upgraded gun at this point. And then once you complete that little lockdown, Klaus will pop out, and your job now is to find find 2 floppy disks. There are 6 spawn locations for these, but only 2 of them are going to be the correct locations in your game. I'm going to quickly show you the 6 spawns now, and then after I've showed you all the spawns, I'll show you what you actually do at the locations. Spawn 1 is here in West Berlin Street, and this is actually handily located next to a Klaus spawn-in location. Head up the rappel and into the blasted suite, and you'll find spawn location number 2. Spawn 3 is going to be underground, and it's just here next to the power room in the maintenance tunnel area. And there's another spawn underground as well. Spawn number 4, it's in the ghost station area on the kind of side bit of this wall here next to this door. And then we've got 2 more above ground. One is going to be if you come through the hotel lounge area where Stamina Up is, you'll find it on the left-hand side of the wall just here. And then the last one is going to require us to take the zipline across, and you'll find it on the wall just in front of you next to this bookcase. So what do we actually do here? Well, you need to spawn in Klaus and then order him to stand in front of these metal boxes, and he'll bust the box open, and if you're at the correct location, there'll be a floppy disk inside. This is why we grabbed the black light earlier. You can shine the black light using up on your D-pad or 5 on your keyboard onto the box, and just next to it, if you're at the correct location, there'll be a little robot head. So this means you don't need to wait for Klaus to get to busting right in front of you. You can just look at the box and you'll be able to tell just by looking at it whether it's the right one or not. So when you've got your 2 floppy disks, you need to go back to that upgrade station and order Klaus inside once more. While he's in there, you can hold square on him to activate an upgrade process, and he'll change outfit and become upgraded. You then need to just do this again after he pops back out. Order him back inside, hold square to do the upgrade process, and then he'll pop out. And at this point, he'll have changed clothes and he'll have an upgraded weapon with an alternate ammo type on it. So he's even stronger. He lasts forever. He revives your teammates. Like, he's basically a civil protector from like Shadows of Evil, etc. Next up, we're going to be looking at the bunny dance Easter egg. And once again, I'm just going to basically insert a little bit of guide stuff here for you guys, and then I'll be back with you in a moment. To start with, you need to find 6 parts of the mystery box bunny that are going to be littered around the map. The first I'll be showing you is here in the grocery store. It's on the back of a shelf nearby where the KSP wall buy is. The second bunny part is going to be in the bar area. It's on a couch just nearby where the jug machine is. Stands out nice and easy to spot. In the alley, you will find your third bunny part, and it's going to be lying next to a kind of stack of tires and other rubbish. That brings us on to bunny part number 4, which is in hotel room 304, incidentally, on top of a wooden table in the corner of the room, as you can see in the gameplay just here. And then we need bunny part number 5, which is in the department store, which is where the WonderFizz is. So it's above the cafe sign if you go up the rappel, and it's going to be straight ahead of you on the shelf. And finally, there is one more bunny part in the sewer access area directly to your left on the ground, and it's going to be against the wall when you're entering the room. As soon as you pick up the final bunny part, it's going to teleport you all the way through to a kind of similar thing to the coffin dance egg, except this time we're in a bunny VIP nightclub. There's a disco ball, there's a bunch of zombies having a little boogie. Like, this whole area is a total departure from anything else that we see in this map. Like, it's actually like we're in one of the clubs in Berlin, and the fact that Treyarch put this in the game is amazing. So props Treyarch. I love this sort of thing. Love the fact that you're being creative with these Easter eggs. But anyway, back to the steps themselves. What do we do here? Well, the zombies are having a boogie. You need to take them down. Interrupt them from raving the night away and just take out the entire horde. And then when that's done, you're going to basically have another set of ravers all spawn in. The zombies are just going to start boogieing all over again, and you're going to need to take them down once more. This is all very charming and very nice. Just take the zombies out, and then you'll get one final wave of them. Take them down too. And at the end of it all, you'll get 3 doors that you can choose from as your kind of like reward station, right? Now, before we go any further, a word of warning is that if you don't do this fast enough, you'll just get kicked out of the arena and you won't be able to get any reward, okay? So make sure that you don't spend too long admiring all the dancers' moves. Make sure you actually take the zombies down pretty quickly. So, rewards. You can pick one door, choose the one that you want to open it up to get your reward from the rewards crate, and then you'll be teleported back out of the room and you'll have completed the bunny Easter egg. You can get the Cerberus for free from this, just like you can get the WonderWeapon on other maps for free from their respective bunny Easter eggs. So it's a really good one to do if you're trying to do the Easter egg and need some extra firepower, some free perks. Maybe you're trying to get the Cerberus even earlier in your game. But be careful, you don't want to do this on round 10 because that's the round that you'll be waiting for your Panzer to spawn in to get the battery for Klaus. And if you do the bunny egg on round 10, you might not get the Panzer spawn. So that's just something to be careful of. And so now, with all of those things out of the way, we're going to move on a little bit more to the, I don't know, expert side of the guide, or just slightly more sophisticated tips potentially. To begin with, let's talk about boss fight strategy for the Easter egg. I know people have been struggling with this a little bit, especially on solo. Make sure when that blue attack comes in that you lose line of sight with Valentina so that she doesn't blast you into outer space and just end your game. Like, you really got to be careful of that attack. And I also recommend that whenever you see those 3 fiery balls appear above her head, you make sure that you're very careful of the fire she's about to throw at you, because it will wreck your armor. Like, it will absolutely destroy your armor. Now, another tip for the boss fight is that you can actually call Klaus in mid-fight when you get to the location that has the tank in it in the middle of that kind of area. It's obviously useful to have him not only because he adds firepower, but he'll also revive you if you go down. So really useful to have him active while you're in a boss fight. A big tip for the boss fight is that in between each area, when Valentina is moving, you should just run straight over to any kind of resources you need. So if you need Pack-a-Punch, just run straight there. If you need Wonder Fizz, go straight there, and then you'll get teleported to the main boss fight itself, or it will kind of trigger it once you run through it. So there's no need to go there early. You might as well get the resources if you have enough time. Just give it a go, give it a try. Speaking of which, the death machine is incredible in this boss fight right now. This might get changed, but the death machine and the chopper gunner I've heard as well is really good, but the death machine especially is just fantastic. So what I kind of recommend you do is you go through each phase, and then as soon as she starts moving, you just run as fast as you can over to a crafting bench and just try and get yourself another death machine. However, with all that said, do be careful, because some people have been getting kind of locked out of the boss fight. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or not, and I've heard from a viewer in my chat, Nathan, that you can potentially use Ether Shroud to kind of bop yourself back into the fight if the wall goes up and you're outside it. But yeah, basically just be careful, be mindful of the fact that that might happen, and there might be a glitch that's sort of involved with you getting back into the boss fight at the moment. Also, Ring of Fire blocks projectiles. Jazib in my chat mentioned this, and that's such a good thing to point out because of the fact that a lot of the time, the thing that really stops you from doing damage to Valentina during the boss fight is just that fire attack, right? But if you pop Ring of Fire and stand inside it, you do extra damage, or at least you do extra damage to zombies around you and stuff. I'm not sure if you do to the bosses though, but you don't have to reload, and you're at least safe from projectiles. So it is going to make your life a lot easier in that regard. I asked my chat while I was recording this video what other boss fight tips they would have for you guys, and Olivia Duncan here suggested that you don't die. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Right, let's talk about high rounds. I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's quite a few different areas of the map where you could potentially hoard to incredibly high rounds. Like, it isn't hard to get high rounds on this map if you're a kind of intermediate to expert level player, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people getting round 100 in their first game, stuff like that, because it's Cold War. It's a little bit easier, right, compared to some of the older Zombies games. It's certainly no Shangri-La or 5, for example. However, I'm sure many of you guys want to see a couple of kind of high round potential locations anyway, so I'm going to show a few of those now. One of them is in the safe room where Klaus's hands were around that dude that was very alive's neck. You can use the door into that room as a choke point, and then there are 0 spawns behind you, 0 spawns to your side of you. There are only zombies coming through that doorway. And so, yes, it's going to be very awkward if you get stuck in there, but you should be fine because you're going to be using the WonderWeapon upgraded in there, and you'll be using Ring of Fire. And this is a really good co-op strat, not so good solo. You basically want one person on one side of the room, and they'll pop their Ring of Fire, and then the person on the other side of the room won't be inside the Ring of Fire, and so the ring will help kill zombies, but the other person will start to get Ring of Fire charged back because they're not standing in the ring. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So you need to not be inside each other's ring circles, so you stand on opposite sides of the room and you use a Ring of Fire, and then you shoot the zombies, and then your teammate uses their Ring of Fire, and your Ring of Fire charges in the meantime, and it's hunky-dory. You can get to like round 70 plus with this. Really easy peasy. Bear in mind though, something to be aware of with high rounds in this game is that panzers are going to spawn in on certain rounds in absolute droves. Like, you're going to get dozens and dozens of panzers on a single round. They've made this a thing in this map. It's not been like that on previous maps. I don't know why, but it's pretty cool. It keeps the gameplay pretty varied, so don't be surprised when on round 69 you end up with 420 panzers charging at you all at once. It's just how the map works. Another thing, which I guess is kind of a high round tip, but also just a general useful thing to know on the map, I suppose, is that you can mantle onto a lot of the cars, trucks, all of those sorts of vehicles on the street. You can get on top of them, and that's going to mean that the zombies take a lot more time to climb up as well and then hit you. And so if you're trying to hoard up there and you just need a breather for a second, get on top of a truck, and the zombies are going to take maybe like 3-4 seconds before they also can get up there. Beware though, they will start meeting you, and you don't want to be meated. You just don't want that, so be careful. Another location that I've seen people doing some high rounds in is in this alleyway. It's next to the trial machine, so it's in West Berlin, and you basically want to set it up so that you've got the hole in the floor with the rappel like zipline behind you, and you're just going to face forward. You'll have a zombie spawn window on your right-hand side, but the majority of the zombies are going to come from basically right in front of you. And the nice thing about this is that, similar to the strat I showed you before, you've got all the zombies coming from one direction, but you also have an escape route if you need it via that zipline. For all these strats, by the way, you should have the Cerberus, you should have it triple packed, and you should be grabbing variants where necessary to get more ammo, but you should also have the ray gun as your other gun. The ray gun is still insanely powerful. That's what I'd recommend as your other sort of alternative weapon. Triple packed, of course. Then for your third mule kit gun, you can just have whatever you want. I like the Gower, the Hallow, the M16. They're all great. I've got weapon guides for those on my channel as well if you want full loadouts for them too. On that note though, I'm going to wrap this up here. I've recorded this all on day one and I'm going to be honest, I'm exhausted. So I'm just going to end the video and go to sleep. Thanks for watching everyone. If you've enjoyed it, then please drop a like. If you want more info like how to do the main quest Easter egg, that's a big one. I've got a massive guide for that on my channel already. You can click on the screen right now and it'll take you right over to it. I've got videos about ammo mods. I've got videos about other Easter eggs found on the map. I've got videos about the end cutscene, about the story, all sorts of stuff. It's all on my channel. Subscribe and check it out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.